Hey everyone, here today with Brian Skinner. He does a local newsletter called Marin Buzz in Northern California. Stoked to have him. Thanks for being here, Brian.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, you and I have chatted a bunch on Twitter and a little bit face to face as well, which is great. Everybody should follow Brian. He's got a lot of good info about local newsletters plus AI, which is two things that I care about. So definitely check him out there. But for now, let's focus on local newsletters. So give us a background on you and why you got into local newsletters and when you started, all that basic stuff.
Yeah, well, my background, I'm a tech guy in the San Francisco Bay Area. Actually went to Stanford and studied
Oh, nice.
a little computer science there. So my day job, I've been doing solo businesses for 15 years, and my main, one that's been working this whole time is a kids coding tutoring company. So I've really been immersed in coding, tracking, how it's changed over the years, and specifically in the last year or two as AI has exploded, um, really getting into what that enables, including, the changes to media and influencers and building followings, and just what's possible now that, wasn't a year ago.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. So tell me about the newsletter. When did you start it? Well, first, I'm always curious. How did you even find out about the concept of local newsletters?
Good question. I know kind of what the tipping point was. I don't know when I heard about it first, but really what the tipping point was, is the Nickonomics podcast where
Mm-hmm.
Jas went on it in
Mm-hmm.
January and was talking about his experience. And it really just kind of clicked in my mind. Hey, this is something. I think so much of it is just becoming like an influencer in your community, and not necessarily knowing what local business I might be interested in someday, local initiatives or anything, but just realizing that, okay, having this local newsletter will make everything easier in the future. And that goes for tech businesses, that aren't just local, or that goes for, starting some of these more side hustle businesses like installing Christmas lights, which Jess has been talking about on X a little bit more recently, um, or just things that aren't businesses at all. Like, I'm a former men's volleyball player from Southern California originally. I'm embarrassed by the quality of boys volleyball at the high schools here. Uh, I want to give the opportunity. I have a couple of young boys, 3 and 5 years old. I want to give them the opportunity to play and do it at a competitive level if they want. But the schools around here don't really have that opportunity. They just have one varsity team, no freshman teams, no JV teams. If I want to set up something, throughout the county, having these contacts and this name awareness and just, you know, more as like a charity involvement, will help drive it forward. I'm not just uh, an email address. I'm a little bit more known in the community. So, just different ideas like that I don't necessarily know how it's all going to connect and line up in the future. But, I think having that local newsletter is definitely going to be an asset.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought, and the reason I started. 100% same reason. Really, I call it like optionality, right? It's like, okay, do you know exactly where this is going to take you? No, I didn't know, but I knew it opens up doors to figure it out later, right? Which is totally been true. Although in my case, I'm kind of doubling down on the business of local newsletters, but still, it really does provide optionality. Especially when you think, or for anybody listening who doesn't have an audience, like the difference between having an audience and not is just, it changes everything, right? It opens doors. People, oh, you're the guy with that audience. Yeah, I'll talk to you, right? Versus you're just a random citizen. It's like nobody cares, right? So it really
Exactly.
provides so many different values in different ways. It's really awesome. So it's cool.
And and I should say, I think what clicked on that podcast is that it's, as I said, I've been in small business for a long time, trying to generate attention, trying to educate people on a specific niche. And it's always a bit of a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
I think what really drew my attention to this is just how easy it is to get someone to sign up and want to
Mm-hmm.
join your email list. I mean, everyone's interested in what's going on in their backyard.
That's
They
right.
want to know the cool things that are happening in their community. Um, and yeah, really just hearing some of the breakdown in terms of the customer acquisition cost, or running a Facebook ad and getting some email lists for 50 cents. Um, and then it doesn't take very long to have a real business, a real set where you can sell ads against it or monetize it. So, in my mind, I kind of thought of it as, okay, I might invest a couple $1,000s up front, and then within a few months, I'll hopefully be able to make that money back. So, uh, basically, I launched I heard that podcast in middle of January, and my first newsletter came out middle of February 2025. So I'm 5 months in. At 4,400 email subscribers, 3,300 I think on Instagram, and I've been focusing more on that recently. I'm sure we'll talk more about that, but um, and just in the last month I paused the ads about a month ago, realizing, okay, I'm at a good spot. I don't want to get on this infinite cycle where I feel like, oh, I'm growing fast, so the ads will be more valuable in the future. I wanted to get to a point where I feel comfortable that this is an asset that I can deliver value to these local businesses. And now I want to get the ad engine going. So just kind of a switch in my mind. I wanted to turn that on before turning back on the Facebook ads and continuing the growth. So, yeah, I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure we'll talk about the reach and the Instagram as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes a ton of sense. So, yeah, tell me maybe just high level before we get into the specifics. I mean, how's everything been going? So you've been doing it. Is that about 6 months? Let's call it. You know, how's it been going? Any struggles? Any general advice you have for people? A lot of people are probably in a similar boat to you, or maybe a little behind. Any thoughts on your first 6 months doing this?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, okay, so if you haven't started yet, I'd say don't build it up too much in your mind. Like the first email can be fairly rough,
Mm-hmm.
um, and try to frame it as something that'll be easy to do and sustainable for you. So, again, I always think of like, okay, how can you trick yourself into getting started? And then once you see that momentum, you can expand and build from there. So, I think of it as like, I'm focusing on events. I want people to
Okay.
know about the 10 best events that are happening this weekend. And if I do that, if I succeed at that, I've done my job. Um, and then I also think I want it to be a little bit more of a personal style. So it's not just, details, but kind of my spin on it. A little comedy too, just kind of make it not so corporate. Um, And so, yeah, those February ones, the first month or two, I just sent one email a week. As it grew, I kind of expanded what I wanted to focus on. Um, Pet of the week, where people submit a Google form. Um, I added a second email on Mondays, which is Marin History. Oh, I should comment on chose overall, but let me come back on that. So yeah, Marin History, and then which is like a 500 word kind of short thing about um, either a historical event, interesting business in historically, like Birkenstock sandals, had a big presence here, was headquartered here. And then a Zillow of the week too, where again, just kind of pick an interesting property, whether that's a mansion, whether that's a houseboat. We have some unique spots here that are just kind of fun to show. Um, so yeah, I've just been doing those Monday and Wednesday emails. People said they wanted to keep the events email on Wednesday. I was going to switch it to Tuesday and Thursday sends, but they said, "Hey, I like to know what's happening this weekend on Wednesday morning." So I just left it, and so that's my schedule.
Nice. Okay, that's great. So, what about advertisers? Have you done much selling? Do you have many? Any thoughts on advertising and selling?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say the first ones were really people who were on the email list and asking if we do advertising.
Okay.
Um,
Inbound. Yeah.
Inbound, and I converted a couple of those. At my size, I'm trying to uh, not lock in these massive packages for a long time because again, I'm thinking that the growth, the numbers, the reach will continue to increase. So if I lock in someone for a year at a certain price right now, that's kind of cutting myself a bit short there because if I sell them for a month or two package, then uh, fill up the ads and have more readers, I can increase in
Yeah.
2 months
Totally.
down the line. So um, yeah, the most successful ad has been a local gym here that has signed up for 4 months now
Nice.
at $250
Yeah.
per month. So solid start, and then some various businesses, particularly small ones and events that I'll give $100 offer to as well. So like local preschool said they're looking for more students, and I said, "Oh, I run this newsletter. I'll give it to you for $100 for this month." And they said, "Great." Um, Same with there was a kind of a pop up wine tasting at an event that just offered them $100 to kind of get the word out about their event that people might want to go to.
Did you, for $100 for an event, did you make it like, was it one at the top or something like, or how did you
Yeah,
treat that?
it was still kind of an ad format at the
It was
top.
like an
Yeah,
ad, but for an event. Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
That makes sense. Nice. Yeah. I mean, that's something selling, we have in our newsletter, we have a featured event. It's at the very top, really big, which I think is great. And it gets, I know it's great because it gets tons of clicks. I just haven't put enough effort into trying to sell that to the event venues, which I think I could and should do. But again, selling takes a lot of work that I just haven't put in. But I think
right.
it makes a lot of sense for them. And of course, for us as operators of these businesses. So everybody should be thinking about not just advertisers like what you traditionally think of, insurance agent, realtor, whatever, but also events is like its own thing. So yeah, that's really
Yep.
smart. Okay, so tell me about Instagram. So we had Jacob on recently, who and Jazz, actually the two of the best guys at the Instagram angle of this have been on recently, and so again, I'm very interested in doing this myself, although admittedly, I'm just kind of all over the place. So I haven't really done it a ton, and I'm not 100% sure I will anytime soon, although I actually would prefer to hire someone to do it. But anyway, I think a lot of people watching this right now probably have already heard the value of having a great local Instagram page. So obviously, you're one of them. And so I know you're putting more effort in. So tell me how you're thinking about Instagram, what you're doing to try to grow it, and everything social media side of this.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when I started talking with these businesses, I realized that they care about the Instagram number even more than the number of subscribers on the email list. Even though the email list
Mhm.
has
Way
a lot of
better.
attention, that 2/3 of the people who it sends to actually open it and will probably see that.
Mm-hmm.
Versus Instagram, if you have 5,000 followers, maybe 1,000 would see it. So it's maybe
Maybe.
20%, and that's generous. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I think it's a little crazy, but I realize
It is what it is, right?
that is
They're
what it is.
wrong, but if they believe it, unless you want to sit there and spend forever teaching them a whole thing about social media and email marketing, probably not. They're not going to change their mind.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So you need that big public number that says, "Here's how
Mm-hmm.
many followers we have," and that just makes everything easier. Again, just downstream, everything gets easier. So I started focusing on that. First, I shifted my ad strategy a little bit to focus more on Instagram Reels. I was paying a little bit more for, the email subscribers. It went from maybe 40 cents to 60 cents, um, somewhere in that ballpark. But they was getting the Instagram
Mm-hmm.
follows as well as the newsletter subscribers. And so that helped. I'd say again, you kind of want to speed run to a certain number that feels meaningful. So there's also, you can follow people in your community. They'll get that notification. Hey, Marin Buzz followed you. You can unfollow them later if you want, which I do, just so that ratio is not out of whack. But um, if you do, 100 of those a day and it takes 5 minutes, again, you'll kind of get to that meaningful number much faster. So you kind of want to get to, say, 1,000 followers. Once you're at 1,000 followers, again, it feels a little more meaningful.
So
Um,
can we pause on this or go deeper on this because I don't think I've actually talked about this on the channel or too much publicly, and I'm not an expert on this at all. But I have had somebody tell me about exactly what you're talking about, which makes total sense and sounds like absolutely a great idea. Yeah, I guess my question to you is, I've heard there's a risk of doing this, that if you and I have no idea what the range is or anything, that's part of the problem. I don't know, but that if you do too much of the like follow people and then unfollow them a week later or something, that it can like hurt your account, ban your account, things like this. Do you know about this? What, like, that you could give some people some pointers on that?
yeah, I'd say from my research, and again, I think these
And I'm
things
sure it
change.
changes all the time too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'd say, yeah, there's some limits around like how many people you're allowed to follow. So they will rate limit you. You'll get a pop up that says, "Hey, you've done too much of this,"
Mm-hmm.
in the Instagram app. That might be around 150 or 200 of those actions. I don't know about follow, or sorry, about
Yeah.
unfollow,
Unfollow. Yeah.
but I'd say if you're not automating it, that's probably good. If you are
Mm-hmm.
using like a browser automation tool, that's where I think they can determine a little bit more like, okay, here's what you're doing systematically. So yeah, I'd say, it's a casual thing. I don't sit down and do 100 once. I'm, taking a 5 minute break, drinking my coffee, and click through a few profiles and follow them. And again, this is a short term like strategy. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily do a lot of that today. I'm at 3,400 followers, I think. So um, those incremental followers aren't quite hustling to get those 10 new followers today. It probably isn't as important for my time. And now I'm more building out the content, and specifically the content that I think will build trust. Because I think, again, the local newsletters all comes back to you have an opportunity to be someone from the community who knows what's going on, who they can trust. And, that's ultimately what does drive those results is that trust.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah, I think to your point, yeah, it's the kind of thing that might be worth doing when you're smaller to kind of get that number to at least a decent number. Plus, those
Yep.
are just more local people who, when you start doing your high quality content, will hopefully start liking it, commenting, and sharing it, and then that is how you're going to go to 20,000. Right? You're not going to
That's
go to
right.
20,000 doing like little follows here and there and stuff. But it probably is a smart strategy. Just like you said, just do randomly, just do 10 while you're just on your phone, and do it later, do 10. And yeah, that makes sense. So what are your thoughts on the content side? So, we talked to, Jacob. He does a lot of the, what do you call it? Where they remove your background or whatever and just kind of talking
Mm-hmm.
about whatever's on the screen, which I think is really smart for a lot of situations. But that's just one thing that you can do. There's obviously a ton. So what are you doing right now, or what are you planning on doing?
So I, again, always want to trick myself into what is the simplest thing that I can sustainably do,
Mm-hmm.
so that it's not this big weight. um, and I think that's what most people want to. Content creation is massive. It's this huge category that uh, if you talk to someone who has these big followings and puts out regular content regularly, that they have these overseas video editors and they have these workflows set up, and If kind of Jacob's content is awesome, and I recommend you kind of follow his advice too of what sort of content to put out there. He's editing videos in a tool called CapCut, probably doing most of it himself. And then the Instagram has their own tool as well, that's fairly similar, and I think improving, closing that feature gap with CapCut. But I don't love it. I don't think it's something that I'll consistently do. So being a tech guy, being a product guy, I kind of wanted to build out what is this automated workflow for myself that I might launch as a side business. So I created a product that does those what I call talking head videos. So it removes the background. So you can take a piece of content, say someone posts an event that's going on. I just did one for July 4th recap, and shared a video that someone put of the Sausalito July 4th parade and asked, hey, what's better, Sausalito or Novato? So it took that underlying video, took my face talking about it for 10 seconds, removed the background, and just stitched these two together. And I didn't have to do any video editing tools, or work with an overseas team or anything like that. So yeah, I built out a tool for that called Yapover. Currently seeing if people are interested in that. It's kind of an interesting space because, again, there's very sophisticated content creators. Someone like Jacob, has his workflows and isn't intimidated by an editing tool like CapCut. And then there's a lot of people who want to be content creators that I think could benefit from simplifying the approach.
Yeah. You showed me this tool, and just so to be clear, so everybody understands what it does, because it's actually really interesting and it works really well. I think there is one potential issue that you can talk about but what he's saying is, like, if you find a video, whether you accidentally or just go search for videos about your area that somebody else made, I think the easiest way I would think about this is, again, July 4th, a fair or something. And let's say the Chamber of Commerce puts out a video or something of film that event. You don't have to have been there. Like, the way I would have thought about it before you is, oh, you got to go to the event, film it, and then make a video. What you're saying is, no, leverage the video that's already on Instagram. The Chamber of Commerce put this on Instagram. It is a video of what happened on July 4th, fun, blah, 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 whatever it was. And then you just film yourself talking over the video that already exists. So that is really, and what you showed me on the tool, like it worked like crazy fast and dead simple, right? So I think this is a really good idea for how to do what Jacob's doing, but even easier. I know what he does. He would say it's pretty easy, but to your point, I don't think, it's easy for him because he's been doing it for a while now. I just downloaded CapCut for the first time yesterday, and freaking crazy, right? Like, it's a nightmare.
It's a lot of buttons.
And then it's like, oh, well, I think I asked him, and I can't remember what he said his answer was, but I still feel like, okay, well, film yourself with your phone, and then you got to have your background on your computer, and then you got to merge them together. Like, that just sounds crazy, right? And yours was just like, no, just look at your camera on your computer, just like I'm doing right now, hit the button, talk over the video, and boom, you're done. This is a really cool idea for a way to make custom content for Instagram. So I think that's awesome. I think what I told you personally when we talked about this last week, the hard part is, of course, just finding those good videos to talk about. That's literally the problem, right? Or if it's a problem, I haven't tried. But how do you think about that as far as finding content that's worth doing this for?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think one thing I would point out is that I see a number of stuff coming across my Instagram feed. At that point, I just bookmark it. I don't on it right away. And that could be a flyer for an event coming up. That could be a restaurant that posted like this cool flyover video. It could be like you said, the July 4th, recap video. So just as things I come across them, I might bookmark it. I know what is also successful, I just haven't done it yet, is setting up a separate Instagram account that you train the feed just for these sort of things. Um, like if you want to see upcoming events and there's like flyers posted about those things, you can, you know, start liking, start commenting, start bookmarking those on a new account, and you'll see a lot more of those. So, yeah, I'd say mine is a little crowded because there's kind of the businesses that we interact with or that tag us. Um, and those people that are following us or that we're following. So it gets a little cluttered, but yeah, you can have a separate account for that. And then I think ultimately, yeah, there's some AI that can play into that too. I don't know as much on the local level, um, but I think that is kind of the next steps of what I'll be exploring, where that product could incorporate that. Yeah, because ultimately, I don't think the grand vision is trying to make this like a social media marketing agency where we do that for you, but rather say, okay, here's this tool. It's dead simple. Here's exactly what you should do in this tool today. Like, just say this script about this video and post it. And if we can get that specific, again, that opens up even more people who can do it.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, again, you're helping try to figure out ways to solve this problem of friction, right? It's like I think most people now, if you're watching this, you probably know you need to do this, and most likely you're not doing it, right? And why? It is the friction, right? So if you can remove the friction from it, you're more likely to do it, and if you do it, you're more likely to succeed, especially longer term. Maybe not in the short term, but in the long term. So I think it's really cool. And you and I need to talk because I want to play with this because I feel like this may be the thing that I need to get me over that frustration with the friction. So I think everybody should check it out if you're wanting to make those kind of headless videos. And I would also say would your tool allow you don't even have to do that, right? Do you have to like do the talking head thing, or is there a way to leverage existing videos, and put them on your channel just because maybe again, somebody else made good content. You're literally helping them by promote it, but then you can get the value, right? Is that
Yeah.
something that you're doing as well?
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, that original creator usually appreciates it. You
Mm-hmm.
tag them, and they kind of get some of that recognition. They might get new followers that way. So most of the time they'll appreciate that. The so yeah, the kind of talking head is the primary thing that maybe one of the easiest. I also added a feature that was more the what I call like the theme page, where maybe you've seen it takes a video and just puts like a frame around it, and just kind of reposting that video with this frame. So I did one for Marin is Beautiful series. Again, those more like scenic shots, those hikes, those ocean shots, those sort of things. I'll tag those, and then my tool can just spit out like 10 of those, and I can schedule it using Instagram to kind of drip out one a day or one newsletter content and other content that's running.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think there's something there as well, right? Which is just being, if I really think about what we're trying to do here, is be the go-to media brand, again, whatever channel, for everything cool happening in the area. And so that doesn't mean you necessarily have to have been the one to create it, right? If somebody else did it, if you're the one who builds the audience, I mean, again, this is part of my longer term vision is it may be hard to find these people, but if you find the people who want to be a local social media influencer, but they don't have an audience, you both get value by letting them leverage your audience by creating content for you, because now that puts more attention on it for them, and both parties win, right? So you become that kind of hub of cool local content. So whether you created it or someone else did, it doesn't matter. You're the spot to go for it, and then that helps everybody, but especially you, right? So I think that's a really smart play. So what did you? Is there like is this still in beta, or is this live?
Yeah, it's live. It's at
Oh, it is.
yapover.com.
Yeah. Okay. Check it
People
out,
can try it
everybody. Let
out.
me know. Let me know what you think if you give it if you use it. Okay, let's talk about events. I know you had mentioned you had some questions for me, or maybe one, because, and I don't know if I've talked about this on the show yet, but so I did my AI training, kind of AI 101. I had just thrown out there in the newsletter, hey, I know a lot about AI. It seems like a lot of people want to know. They don't know where to turn. They don't, yeah, there's probably a million people doing this online, right? But most people don't want to watch a Zoom to learn AI. They want to have somebody in person they can ask questions to and, you know, feel that human reality there as opposed to AI. So I did that. I had 95 people sign up. I had about 35 or so show up, and it went really well. Everybody seemed to learn a ton. It wasn't hard for me because it was all relatively simple stuff. I got a bunch of emails after, people wanting my slide deck, wanting to follow up. When am I doing it again? All this kind of stuff. So again, I didn't even have a plan, by the way, when I didn't have a plan to sell anything. I just wanted to do it and see if people would show up and see if they cared. Right. So I probably should have had a little bit better of a plan to capture some value there, but I didn't. So, but people seem to be happy and excited. And, I'm actually going to do another one in a couple weeks for, I can't remember why I decided to do this. I think somebody asked me to, and I said, okay, I'm going to do one for teenagers and like college kids, just kind of young people one, just cause they probably don't want to sit in a room full of, 50-year-olds. So like just tailor one to them. So I'm going to do that in a few weeks. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a really cool thing. And it was really just to explore ways to see how you can bring people together in person, but especially in more of a business context, like where if I did put a lot of effort in to make money from it, I probably could if I had the right plan and whatnot. So it was really just a test, and I would say it went pretty well. But yeah, how does that sound to you? Have you thought about? I mean, you're an AI tech guy. Have you thought about something like this? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I guess that's why I'm so interested in hearing your experience with it. I mean, I think you know, events is a huge opportunity.
Mhm.
Again, you kind of build that trust. You have some distribution to get the word out, um, and specifically within events, I mean, I think there's consumer events, there's business events, and you know, probably the relationships that I'm looking to cultivate more on the business side, it's the ads. So, the AI one, particularly for the business use cases, I think is more interesting to me than doing, a bar meetup. But I'm curious, did you poll your audience to figure out what they were interested in? And did you partner with anyone like the Chamber of Commerce to get the word out, or it was all just through your newsletters?
So good question. Didn't partner with anyone, just did everything myself. So what I did was I posted in the newsletter. I think I posted about it twice. Um, and then after the first one, when I kind of felt like, okay, this, I got enough interest after the first one, I think maybe 40-ish or something signed up. And I didn't even have a time at that point. I was just like, I think I want to do this. I don't have a plan. Just sign up if you're interested. Probably got 40 or 50 something. And I was like, okay, I need to do this. So I called the chamber, which I am a member of that chamber. And I just said, hey, I got these people who want to learn AI. I'm happy to teach them. I'm teaching them for free, but like, I don't know where can I go? And she was just like, oh, I know exactly the place. And she told me this, it's actually like an old folks type of home, but they have a big movie theater room, right? So it had the big screen and had like 40 or 50 seats in it, something like that. And and that was it. That was literally it. And so again, I think the other reason I get excited about this is just the value of building these relationships and connections that by doing this, it forces you to, because you have to now go look for a place, right? Well, now that I've looked for this place, now I have this relationship with I think she's the manager of this really nice, like old folks home. And she's just like, anytime you want to host an event, we're here for you. She brought donuts for my people. She's like, what do you want? What food? And she like went and bought donuts for people. It's just really cool. And then even better, I asked her, and this actually would be interesting to you. You're an AI guy. Chris Kerner, who I really like. I've hung out with him for a bit. He's talked on his podcast a few times about using AI to create like legacy videos or stories and whatever for older people. And I've had this idea for 2 years since AI came out. He talks about it a bunch. Always just in my head. Yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good idea, but you don't take action on it. You don't actually know. Well, I'm sitting here talking to the manager of an old folks home. I'm like, well, I'll just ask her. And I asked her and she was just like, that is an amazing idea. We would love to do that. It was almost like she had barely even heard about the concept of like legacy videos or stories. And so it was like, if I wanted to pursue that, I could. Now, I'm not going to right now. I actually know somebody who reached out to me, again, another relationship thing. He literally does this in my town in Round Rock for a living. He makes legacy videos. So I immediately connected them. I'm like, you need to talk to you. He wants to do it. She wants you to do it. And again, this is just one example of what's possible in so many different directions. So, sorry, I got a tangent there because I got excited about the fact that like doing one thing led to another thing, right? Which is what I think coming back to optionality. But no partners, no nothing. Now, I will say too, one of the things I even talked to another smart business person yesterday who was like, you could easily go find somebody who sells things to business owners to come sponsor the next time you do one and you get 50 people. Whether in my case, there's actually a guy here selling AI voice tech for small businesses, right? To answer your phones. Well, how much would he want to get in front of 50 business owners wanting to learn about AI, right? Or the other one that's always the easy, I shouldn't say easy, but is business banks, right? Business banks always want to get in front of business people, right? So you have them sponsor it. And maybe now if you're getting the event location for free, just have them pay you. So now you just made money. Like pay me $500 and I'll let you have a table and I'll let you introduce yourself before my presentation. Well, now you just got paid $500 to potentially get leads if you have something to sell those people. So, sorry, long tangent. What do you think?
Yeah, that's massive. I mean, exactly. So, realizing, okay, you don't have to sell tickets to make money, I think
Yes,
is,
correct.
is again, just that unlock. Like, because
Because
it
people wouldn't, it'd be
seems
hard to sell tickets.
exactly,
I
it
think
would
it's
be hard.
possible. I do think it's possible in the right scenario when you've built up enough trust and maybe you're going on a deeper level. I do think it's possible, but even if it's possible, it still would be hard. So if you can find ways where you don't have to do that, it's better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think, some newsletter followers are sensitive to being sold to.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, is this a big ploy to get you to sign up for, XYZ? Not everyone's like that, but,
Mm-hmm.
if you can offer it for free and still have that business model, um, that sustains it, that makes it worth your time, I think that's a better approach.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Well, again, I'll keep saying this because I even talked to somebody else who said was their plan. They want asking me advice for local newsletters, and I always ask people, why do you want to do this, right? Because if you have the wrong answer to that question, my advice is gonna be don't do it, right? But they're one of their reasons. They had some good ones, but one of the big ones was they wanted to build a digital marketing agency on the back end of it, right? And that's kind of my plan, and I do think that's it's not the best one because I think better is to sell to all readers instead of 10-15%, but it's still a really good one. And just real quick story on what's updated. I've been posting about this on Twitter. I don't know if I mentioned it though, but one of my new advertisers is the apartment locator. So she helps people find kind of like a realtor for apartments, but way less work. She doesn't even leave her house. She just gives people information basically. And she number one, when she came to me, she didn't even have a website, right? So I like, I don't know if you really call that digital marketing, but I do put it in the same bucket. I had to build her a website, right? How was I gonna? What was her CTA in my ads, right? So I had to build her a website, which I did, and it's going pretty well because she's already sold 2 clients. She's about to sell. She said she's got a third one that's probably going to close next week. She's got a pipeline of 10, all in 2 ads for me, like 2 different ads. She paid me $400 a month. She's already made $4,500 off a $400 spend
That's awesome.
in the first 2 weeks. Or it's been less than 3 weeks. She's only had 2 ads. So, yeah. So the digital. So she just sent me an email this morning. She was like, "I am so thankful I found you and advertise and all this stuff." So, if I want to, which I probably will at some point, is go say, "Hey, let me run meta ads for you. Pay me $400 for that, and I'll run meta ads for you." Right. And so that's kind of the digital marketing agency potentially is the low hanging fruit of the additional business that you can do. As you said, like Jazz on the last episode was talking about doing Christmas lights, which I do think is going to crush whether it's leads or the business itself. But I don't know that I want to start a Christmas light. He was talking about hanging the damn things himself. Like I am not doing that. No chance. So, I think doing a digital marketing agency for people who would watch a show like this is probably a much more viable path than Christmas lights, because you could still do the leads for Christmas lights. You don't have to actually hang them or start that business. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's interesting. And that's like a business you would never think of, right? You aren't going to do, uh, you didn't go into this local newsletter thinking this will be an opportunity. I'm going to find, the business that who's going to run is going to be a, you didn't even
No,
know
I didn't even know it was a thing. I didn't even know that existed. And I'm fascinated with it now, by the way. I'm like thinking, should I get in that business? Because if you know what you're doing, it sounds like it can be very lucrative.
Yeah. And that's really what I found on Instagram outreach too. I suppose that this might be a good time to
Tell me
talk
about
more
that.
about that. Basically, I mentioned, okay, I turned off the Facebook ads a month ago. I want to put my effort into securing and filling up my ad slots. And so the approach I took with that is realizing that warm outreach is better than cold outreach, but I don't necessarily have a lot of personal connections to draw from, or that I want to draw from. So what are the warm connections I have? It's the email list and my Instagram. And specifically, on the email list, you have their email address. You could probably do some analysis of figuring out, okay, which of these are businesses. But on Instagram, you have the complete list of who follows you, and their profile has some information about, what they do. If they're a business, their link to their website, and then if you do send an Instagram message to someone who follows you, it goes right to their inbox. So that inbox is usually monitored by someone who's in marketing. They're in charge of the Instagram account. So it usually goes to someone who's kind of the decision maker if you or for running ads. So I really focused my efforts then on Instagram, and used AI to get my list of followers in one centralized place, get all their profile info and their external links that are on Instagram, their number of followers, just to give like a idea of the size. And then again, just using AI to comb through this, figure out which of these are businesses, what's the priority maybe of how big these businesses are, how likely they might be to advertise. And I've just been blown away by like the number of accounts and the different types of businesses. And going back to my approach, I always want to take, okay, what is the bite-sized thing that I can do? I decided I'm going to reach out to 5 accounts per day, just send a DM that's personalized, let them know about us and that we have ads. I think more, very short, 2-sentence outreach. And, so many different businesses. One who's interested is an auto, I guess, broker, where they purchase cars for you so you don't have to go to the dealership, or they might find a specific model or color or something, farther away and get that delivered for you. So really, again, a unique business. Different ones like, who else is interested in? And old folks home said they're interested in, orthodontists, just these businesses that, again, what maybe wouldn't jump to mind immediately, but hey, they're following us, they are aware of us, get that warm introduction. And out of these 5 per day that I've been sending for the last week or two, I'm probably getting at least 1 response per day. And some of them want to jump on the phone. I just talked with a interior designer, say yesterday or a couple of days ago, and then want the full details of what the ads are. Some of them just want the full details that they can send to their CEO or whoever's making the decisions. But you know, the response rate and the long tail of these different types of businesses is really impressive.
Yeah, no, I think that's really smart. That's what John from Scottsdale. I think he said something similar, that he's been doing it on Instagram as well and having a lot of success. So I think that is actually a really good strategy, because when I the little bit of cold outreach that I did digitally, one day I remember I sat down for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, just looking up what I thought were the best, again, high LTV businesses, right? Custom home builders, what other business, some realtors. I can't remember. I probably did like 5 people for 5 different industries, right? I sent 25 ones, 100% custom. I kind of had something to say that made it clear it was custom to all of them. And I got a response from 1 out of 25. It took me multiple hours. And the guy actually got on the phone, and he was really cool. I was like thinking he was super interested. And then he was like, yeah, this is cool. Yeah, I'll put you in touch with the person in charge. And I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, he wasn't even in the marketing part. He was a custom home builder. He was just a custom home sales guy. He had nothing to do with it. So anyway, my point being, cold outreach, I think, again, I haven't tried this yet. We're actually working on setting this up now, because for doing it in multiple locations. But for those in just one location, I think cold email is probably just not worth it. The amount of time, effort, cost to do all of that, you're just not going to get enough of a response. It may make sense for us because we can do it, countrywide essentially. But for an individual, if you have one newsletter in your town, Instagram definitely seems like it's the right approach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the response rate on cold email would be like 2%. The response rate on these DMs would be 20%.
Yeah.
And again, it's AI assisted, but it's not fully automated. Instagram really locks down sending a direct message to someone. It wouldn't be a good idea to send 100 of those in a day, even if you are doing it manually. I think
you
don't want it to be a spam platform. So it's more of a drip, continuous, few a day. But if you can do that analysis all at once, get that list of accounts, get those maybe personalized messages that you can copy and paste. And that's kind of another service I'm exploring. If someone's interested in having that done for you, some of that analysis, grab that list of followers. I think it'll be up on my tech consulting is on twistai.com, TWISTAI.com. If someone's interested in it.
So is that software, or is that like you just doing it for somebody, or both?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a service.
Okay.
Software assisted. So yeah, basically the scraping of all your followers, the filtering of that, feeding it into the AI, getting that put so that yeah, then you can send this couple a day. And if you are having a lot of conversations on Instagram, you can automate the follow-up. There's a tool called ManyChat.
Yeah,
that's probably the best for that. One of the things I'm hoping to explore in the future is doing more like the lead magnets on Instagram. So say here's, do a post on here's one of my favorite coffee shops. If you want my top 10, send a message or leave a comment, and we'll send you the full list.
Yeah, I think a lot. We probably don't have too much time to talk about this, but that's interesting. How much have you thought about lead magnets for us in the local space? I feel like lead magnets are very common in a lot of B2B type of things, and I can make a ton of sense. I'm trying to build some now for the local newsletter stuff for this insider brand, but for local people, it sounds really cool. I just can't really think of what would be good. Have you tried anything, or is that basically what you're thinking right now, is just kind of top 10, or like, all the best coffee shops, or all the best, local parks, or something like that? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, exactly. Something like coffee shops, restaurants of this certain category, parks, even something like preschools, so people are interested in. So anywhere you can kind of generate that list. I know directories are also a
Mhm.
huge potential direction you could take these. I mean, once we fill up newsletter ad slots, if you have a directory on your website that then people want to rank for, that gets again closer to SEO, or people, improve their search ranks too. That's a whole nother category that I could see, using a local newsletter to drive like a local SEO agency play.
Yeah, that's one of, as I think about what I'm doing, I'm kind of working on building a directory right now for that exact reason. And again, that it leads into digital marketing, SEO, all that stuff, right? And it allows for selling of packages better, right? Again, I
Right.
keep focusing on this in sales. It's way harder to say, hey, let me sell you one ad or one ad a month in my newsletter versus, hey, here's a package that has one price that has 5 or 6 different things we will do for you, right? That
Yep.
just automatically sounds so much better to a potential advertiser, and I think a directory is a good piece of that. I actually just got off the phone with a really smart business owner who um, is thinking about local newsletters, and he brought this up that in his town or his whatever big city he's in, there is somebody who has this local directory. He even has his name in it. Again, it's not a local media company that has it. It's just a guy who, I don't know, he must have some other business, but anyway, it's like has his name in it. It's like a local directory, but it's actually more of a like lead funnel system. So anyway, sorry for bringing this up real quick. It's just interesting. I learned about this an hour ago, where I was looking at his website, and it's almost like he said he like guarantees the work of the people on the list, but it looks like a directory. And so I'm wondering, I need to dig in. I only looked at it for 2 minutes, but I'm wondering if he like makes agreements with the people to be on the list that like, hey, if you get any complaints, like you have to fix it. That's what's gonna, no
Yeah.
matter what. And then I can promise this, which then makes more people more likely to do it. And I don't know, I'm gonna have to dig in. I'll report back on what I find there. But again, as usual, what I think about this stuff is I'm pretty sure that guy did not have a local media company. By us having a local media company, that's just one arm of the local media company that actually adds value to the bigger brand, right? And vice versa. Like the value of the brand goes both ways versus just like having a directory by yourself as an entrepreneur is like, yeah, there's ways to make it work. This guy sounds like he is, but I think most people would fail at that, right? But
Yeah.
if it's just one of the 6 things your local media company does, way more value with way less risk of, oh, it didn't work. Like who cares? You still have a huge local media company.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right. I mean, I think again, there's just so many opportunities.
there is.
The important thing
Yeah.
is to realize you don't have to pursue all of them. You
Nope.
don't have to pursue all of them at once. I mean, I'm 5 months into this, and focusing more heavily on Instagram for the last month or two and ad sales. And, once that's kind of
Mhm.
locked down and
Yeah.
solved, then it's exploring the next thing. Real quick on your
Yeah.
directory you were looking at, is that on your Beehive site, or is that going to be separate?
I'm still trying to figure that. It would definitely be a separate website, but I would probably just link to it on the
Yeah.
Beehive site. Long term, again, I'm not a website like, WordPress, all that stuff. Like I know what they are, but I'm not great at it. But I think long term, you wouldn't want to have a Beehive website. Like I think the Beehive website is just the kind of temporary. It looks really
Yeah.
nice to the user, but it's not ideal for us as business owners. You can't really run ads on it the way you would in a normal website.
Hmm.
So long term, I think I want to build out our own, whatever you call it, WordPress or some sort of our own system where the directory could just be like
Yeah.
a part of it. But in the short term, it's like what people don't know or care. Like, oh, it went to a different domain name. Like, who cares if the link is on the main page? So,
Right.
um, so yeah. And I think the other reason the directory is so interesting is I don't know that it even. I hate to say it this way, but let's just be real. It doesn't necessarily have to work. Like you don't have to have a ton of visitors for it to be valuable to you because you're selling it as a package. Again, less risk for the business owner. Oh, they bought, 6 slots in 6 different areas of your brand. If one of them doesn't work, it's not a big deal, right? As long as one or two of the other 5 work, you're good. Unlike if you were just selling, I have a directory, give me money to be on the directory. Well, now you better worry, your SEO better be super high, and you better have all these things. So I hate to say it, but like, I don't know that it matters short term, at least. Let's say for sure, it doesn't really matter. It can be valuable to you just because it exists. But again, also we can push people to it, right? In the newsletter. I even think about, we've kind of paused on the classifieds just because we weren't getting a ton of traction from it. If I had more friend business owners out here, I would just keep it up and just keep putting classifieds in there for them. I think it's one of those things that it gets traction once it gets traction. It's just the cold start problem. But I think about how that would be a cool way to just, whatever businesses are there, link out to their directory site. It's the same idea of what we do with the website. Yeah. So, well, hey, Brian, this has been really cool. Really appreciate your insights. Yeah, I think what you're doing, especially this Instagram stuff. Again, we've talked about Instagram on here with Jacob and Jazz and some others, and both the things you're talking about are a little bit different and smart that I think people should be considering. Including, let's be real, I'm the one who should be taking this advice. Maybe I will, but
yeah, you should definitely be. I mean, you should be doing outreach.
I know
to your Instagram followers through DMs.
I know. I hate Instagram though. Like, I've never used it, and it's like so foreign to me. But maybe that's a good thing, right? Maybe then that's all it is. It's just like, hey, this is a business thing that I go in and I do it. Spend 5 minutes a day on it, and that's it. I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that. So where can everyone find you? What do you want to leave people with?
Yeah. So my local newsletter, if you want to check it out, is marinbuzz.com. The Instagram videos is yapover.com. And again, if you want some help on something like the Instagram follower analysis, other AI, twistai.com.
Twistai.com. Okay. Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Brian. We'll have to chat again soon. I think you're doing big things. I'm excited to follow up with you in a month or two.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Brian. Bye.
Bye.